For some in our audience who maybe have a general sense of the idea of artificial intelligence, the term machine learning, which I know you have a particular opinion about, and these sorts of issues, I think they may have a general awareness that there are people who are very scared about the potential of an artificial general intelligence, and there are others who have a very optimistic view of those same possibilities as maybe bringing Homo sapiens to a new level of learning and capabilities and medical advancements, etc. Can you kind of lay out the goalposts or the guideposts, as the term may be, of the perspectives on this issue, those who are pessimistic versus optimistic? What is the crux of this disagreement?
Well, the way I think about it is that the computer is a pencil. Okay, it's a very big pencil. It's a very sophisticated tool, is what I'm trying to say. And as with any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for bad. So there are people who worry about its impact on jobs, losing jobs, on privacy, losing privacy, the bias that it potentially can exhibit in its algorithms. So that's on the one side. And then there are people who can see its potential for discovering vaccines, like the COVID vaccine. AI helped there and see that benefit. There's also a group of people who really don't think of it as a tool. They think that somehow this pencil is going to escape and become a Death Star. And I, a little bit mocking of that point of view, because I think that it really is just a tool.
That's super interesting because we'll get to the why AI might be an exception, but in Neil Postman's book Technopoly, which I think is from the early 90s, he has a very similar perspective in general about new technologies, which is there's sometimes this idea of new technology comes forward, some people theorize or speculate about possible negative consequences. The next step is, well, let's figure out a way to get the positive, but not the negative. And his view is all the positive and negative will all exist. It's a question of implementation, regulation, planning, and management, essentially, that you can't only have the good without the bad. Where some say AI is different is at least the theoretical ability of an artificial general intelligence to learn more quickly, more rapidly, in a way that gets it beyond whatever its sort of initial, I don't even know if programming is the right term. You'll tell me if that's even the right word to use. And so it's sort of outside of, social media. Social media is created. It exists within certain bounds. It will have good and bad, and we can regulate and manage. The difference, at least in theory, with artificial intelligence would be that it can itself go beyond the guidelines and the borders that humans set for it. Does that make it different?
Well, let's first of all start with the fact that there is a universal and understandable fear about our role as humans and technology. And this goes all the way back to the Jewish legend of the Golem, who was this robot, and to Frankenstein and so on. So for centuries, we've been worried in various ways that technology is going to have this outsized role. Now, it is possible, it is conceivable that one day that'll happen. So now the question is, how close or far are we from that apocalyptic vision? And my assessment, as somebody who's been working on this for 30 years and who's very steeped in this technology, seeing the latest thing as of just a few days ago is Chat GPT, which is this program you can have these amazing exchanges with. Maybe we'll talk about that. But my assessment is that we are still decades, if not centuries, away from that vision. So really, what AI is today is a lot more like the next generation of software. So again, super powerful, changing the world, your iPhone and so on, but still very much a tool that we can use. And the notion that it'll somehow escape and become a lot more than we expect is not really based on data. It's based on anxiety. When you look at the data, when you look at what these computers can do, they're amazing, but they're not autonomous, right? Even take the notion of self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles. other than the fact that they're not yet ready for prime time and effective, you still tell the car where to go, right? It'll keep you safer than ever eventually, but it doesn't suddenly decide, okay, I want to go to Cleveland.
Yeah, and I can tell you as a Tesla driver, it's not exactly something to write home about right now. The technology, which I know you're aware of, there are some who I don't know if are actually taken seriously by folks like you, like Ray Kurzweil, who for more than a decade has been saying we're actually now in that phase that you say is decades or even maybe hundreds of years away. We just can't tell because when you're in the middle of rapid change, it just seems slower. And in retrospect, we will realize it. You don't agree with that. You don't believe that that time you're describing is taking place right now.
I not only not agree with that, but again, I caution to look at the data, right? So, what is Kurzweil, who again has an impressive history and technology, what's his basis for saying that? And you can also look at him saying a number of other amazing things, like we've reached the point where we're going to live forever and so on. I would say that he's a very optimistic individual.
Fair. Okay, that's fair to say.